This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gab-fed show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. You have the code for the machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know it's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.net.
And do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to Man Talk 133 with Charles and Darl, the movement dedicated to empowering men, uniting brothers, and building a strong coalition. This is more than just a conversation. It's a call to action. Join us as we uplift, support, and inspire men worldwide. Because together, we don't just talk, we lead. We grow and we conquer. Are you ready to be part of the coalition? Let's dive in.
Welcome to Man Talk 133 with Charles and Daryl. Welcome everybody to that show tonight. How you doing, bro?
Hey, what's going on, bro? How you feeling?
Man, you know, it's another day, man. Another day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We appreciate everybody coming in, man. So we got a topic tonight that I know has been talked about. I heard it on someone's show and I just can't remember who she was.
Right.
But so I know this topic has been talked about. But you know, we're going to talk about the women in the military, dog.
Okay, cool.
We're going to talk about the women in the military, man. And, you know, you can see in the title the hell that they pay to be in uniform. They do. We're gonna go through some stuff.
Yeah,
and, you know, it's kind of sad, but you know, we're gonna talk about it, man. So let's give some, you know, a little bit of statistics on, you know, they may have changed a little bit since then. But women make up 16% of the U.S. military, with representation varying across branches. You know, while the military is more integrated than ever, women are still underrepresented in senior leadership. Here's a breakdown of the military branches, and it's some more branches too. These just the four that I have. The Air Force, 21% of airmen are women. Army, 15% of soldiers are women. Marine Corps, 9% of Marines are women. And Navy, 20% of sailors are women. And women have served in the U.S. Armed Forces since the American Revolution. That's been a long time. You see what I'm saying?
right.
So they have made sacrifices just like the men have, dog.
I kind of figured that percentage was going to be bigger with the Navy, though.
Yeah.
In the Air Force. In the Air Force.
Yeah, dog, we represent. I hate to say it like that.
Yeah, this is y'all represent.
Yeah, but you know, with it being such a low percentage of them being in the middle, at least 16%, right? Why
Still a low number.
It's still a low number, but it being a low number, why the mistreatment of women in the military?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. But for me, I'm thinking, you know, like with the mistreatment, I would probably say, for starters, you know, some guys probably figure, like they can't carry their load, or you know what I'm saying, they can't, keep up with the pace. And it depends on, because I guess I'm looking at it from the infantry side, because I think we got a lot of women that's coming in on the infantry side, with the Rangers and recon and all this stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah.
And but that's how I look at it. But like I say, even though we do have women in like administration and supply and stuff like that, but I do understand what you're saying. Like it's how they're being looked at.
Yeah.
Like I
Okay.
guess in like the work field.
Yeah. So the mistreatment of women in the military is a serious issue encompassing various forms of abuse and discrimination, including sexual assault and harassment, gender-based scrutiny, and discrimination in access to opportunities and resources. This is what some of the outline breakdown on some of it. Like, for example, sexual harassment, sexual assault and harassment. A significant percentage of women in the military report sexual assault or sexual harassment during their service. This includes a range of behaviors from unwanted touching and advances to serious acts of violence like rape.
Right.
So now we go to the next one, gender-based discrimination. Women in the military face systematic discrimination, including being passed over for promotions or jobs, facing scrutiny for their competence, and experiencing lack of child care and health care support. Now, didn't I tell you in the title, the hell they got to pay for the... Now, I'm reading all this stuff, right? I'm going to go to the next one. Right.
Okay.
Many survivors, lack of support and response. Many survivors of military sexual trauma, MST, report that military has taken their complaints seriously, has not taken their complaints seriously and or provided adequate support. Okay, let me go on to the next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Unless you got something, you can interject whenever you want.
No, go ahead. We setting the table.
Women of color, LTBG community service members, and transgender service members may experience unique and compound forms of discrimination and mistreatment. Now, some of that in there I don't agree with, but that's it's what it is.
What you mean? What you mean? Like, I know you're saying that you mean discriminated against, like what you mean? Like, you don't agree with it. Like,
okay. If you're a man, you're a man.
Right.
Right. So that's what you go into the military as.
Right.
So you got to be that in the military. You can't be both. You can't say, I'm joining I'm a man, but I'm joining as a woman.
And I think that's why they, like when they come in, if they come in like that, whether they, trans or whatever, they just want to be like a dude or whatever. I think they like you said, they had to pay. I think that's when they gonna make like especially them old sergeants or whatever, they gonna try to punish them, like make them work. Okay, you want to be this, we gonna make you do this. So they gonna make them go that extra mile.
Right. So you think what I just said, I'm part of the problem? My thought process. I'll just say it.
Yeah, they're gonna make them go that extra mile. They're gonna make them do some extra push-ups and
they try to get, as they say, toughen them up.
Work detail, like you getting that extra work detail and all that. We're gonna see what you made of.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Exactly. Long-term impact. The experience of MST and other forms of mistreatment can have everlasting negative impacts on women's mental and physical health, including trauma, depression, and anxiety. A lot of them probably can't settle into like relationships. But if that's has happened to them, they can't, take a special guy to really want to try to have to deal with.
Yeah,
that.
cause you know, if they coming through a situation like that, they been hardened. I
Yeah,
mean, really hardened.
yeah, for sure.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So they gonna be looking at a dude like you talking about a relationship. They gonna be
Mhm.
looking at a dude like, yo, man, you can't tell me nothing. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna, you know, that's gonna be like I said, hell to pay. That's gonna be hard. Like,
yeah,
you know, the after effects, you know, that
yeah.
female.
And women, if y'all watching, y'all can come in and give us some type of feedback if you
Hmm.
experienced it, or if you just a woman and can understand,
Hmm.
help us understand that, like the anxiety and the depression from going through that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So also, women serving in the military are more likely to report mental health problems than men, including symptoms of depression and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Women are also experience higher rates of sexual harassment, gender discrimination, and sexual assault than men. So I got a question for you. Go ahead. No, go ahead. You got some. You took a breath. Go ahead and handle it. Yeah.
No, man, I was gonna address like the PTSD thing, you
Yeah.
know, with them, right?
Uh-huh.
And I ain't saying that the women shouldn't be in the military when I say this. They
Mhm.
should be in, but it's
Yep.
like when the women are in, and especially it depends on what branch, you know, and what unit you're in. When they're
Yeah.
in, they gonna be pushed like a dude gonna be like a dude is being pushed.
Right.
And they, even though they want to join the military and stuff like that, a lot of time mentally they may not be able to handle
Handle it.
that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So they're gonna be
Uh-huh.
pushed because, like I say, you know, a lot of these guys, you know, like leadership,
Mhm.
hey, they ain't gonna hold back. So that's why I look at that PTSD in that mental state. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
Uh-huh.
they gonna pretty much they gonna dog you out.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, you can go ahead on what you was gonna say.
So I got a question for you,
Yeah.
dog.
All right.
The question I got. So who do you think is doing this to the women now?
What you mean, like the mental?
Everything I just read, who you
Oh,
think doing it to her?
the leadership, high ups. I mean, it's some guys on the ground floor that's doing it too. Because see, I look at it like this. This my opinion. I
Uh-huh.
look at it like the guys in leadership. You know, like I said, you got these sergeants in, staff sergeants, gunnery sergeants, all this stuff, like captains or lieutenants or whatever. Them
Mhm.
been in for 15, 20, 25 years.
Uh-huh.
And this is probably new to them.
Right.
And they probably didn't want to accept that the women are coming in at a higher rate into the military.
Uh-huh.
So in turn, they gonna break them. That's
Yeah.
what that's their goal is, to break them.
That
Just like,
mentality.
yeah, just like their goal is to break us in basic training. And
Mhm.
anywhere else is their goal. And you know they're gonna go the extra mile on that female anyway. That's
Yeah.
just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and don't let that
So
female
so
don't
let me
let that
say this.
female say something back to you. Yeah.
It's the men, dog. The
Mm.
bottom line. The
Yeah.
men, whether it be top, bottom, middle. So
Yeah.
when I ask who doing it, there's the women, the men. Let me
Hmm.
talk to the men again.
Hmm.
Why? Why? Like, okay, all they want to do is serve, go home, do what I'm saying? They want to come serve, go home just like we do, or just like you and I did and all the other veterans did.
Hmm.
Why? Why do it to why okay, just put your daughter in this place, right? Not you, but I'm just saying the ones that's doing it.
Yeah, that's why I was just getting ready to add, like, you know, put their daughters in that
Put your
situation.
daughter in the sexual assault and harassment category. All she wanted to do is just go on, come in, do her 4 or 20 or whatever she got to do, and get on down the road,
Hmm.
right? Why? You know what I'm saying? Like you just talked about the men and the guys in leadership,
Hmm.
right? They're in leadership. Why dog them out? All they want to do is just, hey, I'm coming to do my 4. And
Hmm.
some, like you said, go ahead and want to retire. And shout out to the ones that I'm thinking about it. Shout out to the ones that have retired, because
Right.
some of them could have experienced all this stuff. They experienced,
No, they did. Most definitely they did.
yeah, they experienced
Yeah.
a lot of discrimination and stuff like that, man. So Look, hey, we up against the break. We'll be right back after the break to finish this up, y'all.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Come back to Man Talk
Yes, sir.
133
Yes,
with
sir.
Charles and Daryl. Before the break, what I really tried hard to.
What's that, bro?
I tried hard to do a women's show,
Okay, go ahead.
but the men found their way in this one, dog. Like I don't. Why y'all doing it to the women like that, dog?
We say that's what we just got through talking about, right?
Listen, like, why do we? I'm just, and I know you probably will have to talk to somebody that's actually done it. Like, why though? Like, you can't get a woman. You got to try to take a woman. Man, we got men. We got to do better, dog. I ain't even gonna lie. Yeah. It's pathetic. In the U.S. military, I'm gonna give some numbers, and some of them I'm sure have changed because these numbers. This is 2021, and then I got 2023 and 24, 25. The numbers ain't available yet. In the military, U.S. military, a significant number of women report experiencing gender discrimination, sexual harassment, and sexual assault. A 2021 survey found that 16.1% of women on active duty and 9.9% of women in reserve reported experiencing gender discrimination in the past year. An additional study found that 33.7% of veterans perceived gender-based discrimination in the VA. Now, you was talking about the VA, how they discriminate against men, so the VA just don't care. They discriminate against everybody.
Yeah, they don't care about nobody but they pockets. That's all they worry about.
That's it, dog. My bad. I'm rocking my stuff, dog. Anyway,
you all right? Yeah. You good.
So these experiences can have significant impact on women's health and well-being, including increased likelihood of mental health and physical issues. We always talk about this mental health piece. This mental health piece is a real piece. Some more specific numbers: gender discrimination. The 2021 Workplace and Gender Relations Survey of military members reported that 16.1% of women on active duty, and I just read that they just 9.9 women in reserve experienced past year gender discrimination, sexual harassment. A 2021 study found that 19,200 of 36,000 service members who reported being victims of sexual violence were women.
Right. And see, man, they don't when you talk about the guys as sexual assault these women or whatever in the military, see, they don't really, some may they may just not, they probably just don't even care, right? But like I said, you got to take in consideration if they had a daughter or a niece or whatever, and they just, I don't think, like you said, or grandchild, I don't think they want to do is just go in, serve, do my 2 years, 4 years, whatever, give me a little experience under my belt, so it can transition to the outside world. You know what I'm saying? They don't take in consideration that. But then a flip side to that too is when you get that that discrimination, because I've seen this, like you get that discrimination now, it's probably going off to the left a little bit, but it's the same thing. And now you can have a female, say like a female soldier, Marine, Navy, whatever, and she may be liking or talking to another service member.
Okay.
That's probably in the same unit, whatever, vice versa, whatever, right? But then you got like a higher up sergeant that's gonna hate because she talking to this guy. You know what I'm saying? Because he want to talk to her.
I was trying to. Hey, I got you. I follow you now.
So now, in turn, so now he gonna dog her out in any shape, form, or fashion. he gonna try his best to dog out, break her because she talking to this guy, but she don't want to give him the time of day. But bro, you the leader, you in leadership. You don't
Yeah.
supposed to be looking at them like that.
It called fraternizing, dog. That's what it
Yeah,
called.
that's exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying? So they can get dogged out in that sense too.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I can
So,
see that. I can see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of messed up, man. And
Yeah.
and that's probably the perceived discrimination among veterans. A study among 2,294 women found that 33.7% perceived gender based in the VA. I think I just read that too. Then am I just reading the stuff over that?
Oh, this all right. We rolling. You know how we get down. You know how
This may be what you talking about. Retaliation.
That's it.
Yeah,
Hey, I was ahead of the game, Warner. I didn't even know you was coming with that, but yeah, that's it.
28% of women who experienced sexual assault were reported experiencing retaliation.
That's it.
Because you with him,
Yep.
I want you. And if she don't want him, then you gonna pay.
Now
You definitely gonna pay.
Now it's I'm pretty sure it's bad across the board with the retaliation. But I know for a fact it's really bad on a naval base.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's right.
You
You
know
was
Yeah, but I mean, I was in the Corps, but I was stationed on naval base, so I done seen all that kind of stuff happen before. Because, like you said, your numbers, more women,
Yeah.
Navy,
Yeah.
you know,
For real.
Air
Yeah.
Force, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I definitely seen that retaliation. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah,
I think they had like 20% or something like. So it was a higher number. Yeah,
yeah.
them in the Air Force. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Air Force. I think you said they was, if I ain't mistaken, 16%.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
So, you know, the military, like they have with the women, low retention rate. The reason for that is the lack of trust. The lack of faith in the military to protect women from sexual violence has contributed to low retention rates. You think about it. Why would somebody go join something knowing that it's a possibility? Not that it could happen, but it's a possibility that I can go in here, I want to serve, and I may get taken advantage of. And then when I go report it, nobody gonna do nothing about it.
Yep.
So what's the point,
tough, man?
What's the point in even trying to? You go in and you want to move up the ranks, right? And you go talk to the people like I'm more qualified than he is. Why can't I get the shot like he got? So what's the point? Most of them say, you know what? I'm gonna just do my I'll go and just go work get me a federal job or GS, whatever, and just go sit down or post out, whatever they're gonna do. But why even go into that, knowing that may be the case?
Yeah, and the crazy part is, man, like you can put the two beside each other. It's almost like, you know, both of them can be bad. Like if you send your child, your daughter off to college.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, it can be the same way, but it's crazy that the military is supposed to protect them when they're going in to serve, right? But the military, as far as like, you know, like all the topics that we're discussing, the military is worse for your daughter than college is.
Yeah.
As far as like the retaliation, harassment, and all that.
Yeah.
Which is crazy when you should have, like I said, you got leadership that's supposed to be in charge, that's supposed to protect your child while they are there.
Which is true, man, because you got these young guys and older guys, they train killers. Right? So now when you're dealing with that aspect and you throw alcohol in it, what you think gonna happen?
Right.
Like it's hard for a woman, as much as they're trained the same way, but they are not as physically fit maybe than a male. You know, he can easily take advantage of them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's where that sexual violence comes in. Because one way or another, if he want what he want, he gonna take it. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad to say it like that, but that's exactly what it is. So you know what I'm saying? So, you know, we got some more stuff, man, that we're gonna hop into too, because we're up against the break though. So we'll be right after the break.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.net.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Welcome back to Man Talk 133.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, hey, my man, he walked into the light, didn't he? He's like,
Hey, he was killing that miniature guitar, whatever they call it.
oh, man, he stepped into the light. He stepped out. Anyway,
but yeah, man. Before you left, man, you was talking about I'm gonna address the killer situation.
Say it again.
I'm gonna address the killer situation. With
go ahead. Yeah, handle that. Yeah,
women before we move on. You know, in a situation like that, usually now, like if they do run across some guys it's like that, they'll probably run into them at the club.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because I know how it was at Lejeune, at Camp Lejeune, like over in the infantry unit where I was, it wasn't no females over there like that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? There may be in one or two here and there, maybe in medical or something, but I guess they will go off back over to where they would belong. But but I understand what you're saying. I think a lot of times when you can still classify them as killers if you want to, like military or whatever, but like a lot of times when guys harm these girls like that, when they sexual assault them and stuff like that, they are co-ed. They're like co-ed barracks. Just like the barracks is like right next door to each other, I guess, like on a college campus. So I guess they feel like, hey, she next door to me, so I'm just gonna, go down, holler at her, like I want to or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because they're co-ed. Everybody's kind of like, say, like in supply.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Or communications department or IT department or stuff like that, or medical. You have men and women.
Yeah.
That's in that situation over there in the infantry units. See, it was just us. We ain't had no women, we had to go out to the clubs and stuff like that to see, women, stuff like that. So, but I guess until recently, they may have had, some women come in the infantry units and Ranger battalions and stuff like that. I've heard they've been kind of extra hard on them because they didn't really want them over there, especially in infantry and recon. You know what I'm saying? But like to go back to what you was talking about them running into killers, stuff like that. If they were to do that, most of the time it's gonna be probably at a club. If they run into somebody like that, but most of the time the guys that probably do harm to them is the same guys in their own unit.
Yeah, and you know what, women, y'all take care of y'all watch yourself, man. Make sure you always have somebody with you. Somebody got to be sober. You got to have somebody that's gonna watch out. You can't, both of y'all, all 4 or 5 of y'all can't be intoxicated. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with other intoxicated people. You know what I'm saying? That just ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? It's just what it is. And women are underrepresented in the senior leadership positions in special operations forces, which think about that. If they're underrepresented, how they gonna get other women in? Because the men apparently keeping them out. You know what I'm saying? All they want to do is come serve a dog and go home. That's it.
That's it.
The attrition rates, the higher attrition rates have been observed among women doing initial training in some combat related fields compared to men, meaning they putting that pressure on them. They trying to get them to break.
Yep. They don't want them there.
They don't want them there. And the more that they try to get them, the more they want to be in, the more pressure they put on them to try to get them to quit.
Like I don't not me per se, but I'm gonna just use it as an example. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I don't want you in 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines. We got a standard over here. We got a code over here. You don't supposed to be over here, so we're gonna break you. You know what I'm saying? If they want to put you in here, because you want to be over here so bad, we gonna break you when you get over here.
Because if you really want it.
Yeah, because we got a code over here. It's all, rah over here. You know what I'm saying? 2nd Battalion, 8th Marines. We don't want y'all over here. You know what I'm saying? So not me saying that per se, but that's how I know how it go. It's like locker room talk.
I about to say, well, then 8th Marine part of the problem, man. No, I'm just working.
Hey, bro.
8th Marines, 2nd Battalion.
Hey, somewhere one of them old colonels looking at me like, well, if I can get my hands on him.
I'm trying to tell you, that sound like the 8th
Yeah.
Marine, them what you call them 03s sound like they the problem, Doc.
Yeah, and that and that's how I go. Like the same
Yeah,
thing
that's
with
for
the
real,
Rangers, like the Rangers and the Recons and the SEALs and
yeah.
all them guys like that. They really get down.
Uh-huh.
And then if they if they want to try to if say like if leadership or let's say higher ups like presidents whatever, they want to insert female, we feel that a female should be inserted into this.
Uh-huh.
And you're looking at the Recons, SEALs, 8th Marines, all these boys that used to be going out there on the ground, going out there doing missions,
Uh-huh.
And they looking at female like, you know what I'm saying? So they're gonna try to break them.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. So you kind of, I guess y'all kind of look at it more so like a fraternity. It would be crazy when I pledged Phi Beta Sigma. It would be crazy to have women trying to pledge with us. I guess y'all kind of, that's the way you kind of looking at it, kind of sort of, or no?
Yeah, I guess that as a whole, that's how the guys look at it, especially the guys that like I said, on them grunt units on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they kind of look at it. You know what I'm saying? Because they probably feel that a female. And I ain't bashing females because I got all daughters. I got one older son. I got the rest of daughters, and I got a granddaughter. So I ain't bashing females. I love the women. You know what I'm saying? And along my wife too. So, but what I'm saying is that they feel like when we be going on these missions like that, everybody got to be in one. That everybody got to be in sync.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Female, she might get hurt easy. She might not can. Not saying that she can't. She might be in good shape.
Yeah.
You got to carry them packs. You got to you got to have your weapons. You got to have everything. You got to get in and get out.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So in that particular unit, guys will probably have more pushback. Now, when you talking about the other units like supply and IT and medical and stuff like that, then that's on another level, as far as like discrimination.
Yeah. But the men, 2nd Battalion, 8 Marines, 03s, y'all got to give them a chance, Doc. Y'all can't just look at it and be like, "Dad, I know they ain't gonna make it." Look how they holding their rifle. Where you say, go ahead and try to snatch them out real quick. Go ahead and put what you got. Put that attrition. Put that pressure on them.
So because I'll tell you what they'll say. They'll be like, "Man, how do you think she gonna make it if it's my boy over here? He can't even make it. We always got to lift him up."
Right.
So
now we got to lift up 2 people.
Yeah. So that's how the boys on the ground look at it.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When you're really going in, can they really go in? I got you. Yeah. So, we talked about the numbers in 2021. Nothing much has changed in 2024. In 2024, while women constitute a larger portion of the U.S. military than ever before, they still remain underrepresented. The Department of Defense reported a slight increase in the percentage of women serving from 17.5% in 2022 to 17.7% in 2023. So they had like a 0.2%. You know what I'm saying? So they still underrepresented. They still the discrimination still stands. It still and I'm sure now to this day it's still the same thing. Like for example, now you were just talking about this. Like, where can women serve? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What areas can they serve in? Okay. Historically, women were barred from direct ground and combat roles in certain positions within the military, but this is changing. Now women can serve in almost all positions, including combat roles, with some exceptions, like you were saying, special forces and submarine roles, which I kind of see submarines. You got like all guys, one woman. I mean,
right.
I don't know
Yeah.
what the detail is and what you have to do with a submarine. I don't know if you got to lift a lot or what. I don't know.
You talking about them? They go deep down in the sea, dog. I wouldn't even want to do that myself.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. And then you got to like, unless you have one solution, you gotta have an all woman submarine and all men.
Yeah.
You know, that's one
Yeah.
way you can fix it. If they, you know what, I always look at it like this: if people want to fix something,
Mm-hmm.
they can fix it if they really want.
Yeah.
You just got to
Yeah.
take a little strategy and strategize and try to fix it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's some more detailed breakdowns. Historical restrictions. In the past, women were excluded from the positions with a high probability of direct ground combat. What you were saying, 8 Marines. You know how y'all 03s, y'all didn't want them over there. This includes roles in Army Ranger Regiment, Special Forces, and some enlisted submarine positions.
Mm-hmm.
Which submarines I understand. And let me say it like this.
Mm-hmm.
I was an Air Force guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't know what it's like to be in a Army Ranger or Special Forces
Mm-hmm.
or 8 Marines and all. I don't know what that's like to be in infantry and to to have to go and do all this humping and all this carrying all this heavy stuff, right? I don't know. But I also know that, hey, sometimes y'all got to give the women a chance, dog. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I'm just saying. So, hey, look, we're going to pick this back up after the break, y'all.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.net.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Welcome back to Man Talk 133. Shout out to MB Radio, Military Broadcast Radio. Thank you for having us on. We really appreciate it. Thanks to all the artists too, man, the veterans. Shout out. The risk rule was that previously limited women's roles in the military, which was rescinded in 1994. As a result, women can now serve in almost all Air Force and Navy positions. And I found that part interesting because they didn't say all positions. They just named certain
ones. Okay.
Yeah, certain ones. Now, I guess there's an ongoing debate whether they can still, they're going to have them in full combat. Maybe somebody can, give us a little bit more, that's really no.
Well, a lot of times, man, when they be in combat, I guess they call it combat, like as long as you in a combat zone.
Yeah.
And I guess what I mean by that is like, like sometime in combat zones, we may have a safe haven.
Yeah.
Like we may have a perimeter we got set up that's, that's safe, but it's still considered a combat zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you go outside of them on the other side of the enemy lines, that can be a different ball game.
That's what it is. It's definitely a different ball game because it says the ongoing debate is about whether to remove all restrictions on women serving in combat roles, including in special forces and submarines, whatever. Some argue the physical fitness standards should be gender neutral for all combat roles. Well, I get what they're saying, but like you were saying earlier, if you're a small frame person and you can't carry them packs, and you can't hump for 10 miles with it, or when you get to the 10 miles, you wore out and you can't go to busting off when we need you to pop off on somebody, then it's kind of, you dig what I'm saying? I kind of get your point and their point.
Yeah, that's the part of the endurance. Like I said, a lot of times, man, like I said, the trucks drop you off. You might have to walk 10 miles to get where you need to get to.
Yeah.
And if I, like I said, I have girls, so if my girls, like, even though they're grown, but my other one is still in school. If she was to go in the military or something like that, or wanted to go, I would go with her. And not saying that, like I said, that I'm discriminating nothing like that. When I go with her to the recruiting office, we're gonna get some IT,
Yeah.
We're gonna get some medical,
Yeah.
communications, even some motor T. I wouldn't want to send my baby girl or any one of my daughters out there in the, in the combat. Now, if they in motor T and they got to drive in the combat zone to pick up some
Uh-huh.
people or drop some people off, that's a different ball game. That's something else
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
But as far as like, I don't want them out there, like, because I know what it's like to be out there.
Yeah.
So I don't want them out there, bullets flying, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Out there, and I just don't want my girls out there like that. You know what I'm saying? So
So to be clear,
I'm kind of protection mode on that.
all right. So to be clear, you don't want them out there, but you don't have a problem with them being out there if they, because that's the whole thing that
Right.
we was talking about, the discrimination issue, like where the older
Right.
guys like, hey,
Mhm.
I understand you want to be over here, but I don't want you
Mhm.
out there. Now they
Right.
may honestly could be thinking from a father perspective, like you
Mhm.
thinking.
Mhm.
But at the same time, she's like, well, hey, I came here, bro. I ain't come here to write orders,
Right.
cut orders. I ain't come here to put stock up on nothing. I came here
Right.
because I want to be, hey, my grandma was a ranger. My aunt was a ranger.
See
I'm going
that's
to
the
be a ranger.
one. See when they come in like that right there. See, that's when the older guys, like the older guys you were talking about, that's
Yeah.
when the older guys gonna take offense. They're
Yeah.
gonna take offense to that because they're gonna be like, you coming in like you ain't humble.
Yeah.
You coming in like like you already done made it. And the reason why, back to what you were saying about my daughter or girls out there,
Mhm.
the reason why I say it's two different levels. Like
Uh-huh.
if they in motor T and they gotta go, drop somebody off, because all of it is really, if you in Iraq or Afghanistan, pretty much all that is a combat zone, if you ask me. But like I
Right.
said, it's safe havens, if you
Uh-huh.
ask me. But like I said, if they dropping people off or picking people up on trucks and bringing them back, with this net or whatever, even though you can get hit with a missile or whatever, I look at it like that. I kind of, that'll be, to me, that's okay. But if I just, my daughter, you know what I'm saying, like, she out there on the mountaintop, and she had to go in the caves or whatever, in the desert,
Yeah.
whatever, and like you said, they busting at her, and you know what I'm saying, like, me
Yeah.
personally, I wouldn't want that for my child, but I do
Mhm.
understand, like, some women do come in, like you said, like my grandma was a ranger, my this
My
was that,
aunt
or
was
whatever.
one.
Yeah,
I'm
so
gonna be one.
I'm gonna be one. Yeah, so yeah, see, when they come in like that, that's when they rub them old guys the wrong way. They
And
ain't
see,
home.
but that's the issue though.
Right.
That's what they're saying. That's the issue because they come now. They could come in honestly hungry, like, hey, you know what? I'm
Mhm.
hungry. I want to prove to y'all old heads that
Right.
I can. Not you, but I'm just saying.
Well,
I
I know what you're
want to
saying.
prove to y'all that I can do this. But
Right.
then when she come in too hot. She was like, look, I want to look. Everybody in my family was one. I'm gonna be one, and
Right.
they could take offense, like, hey, like, pump your brakes. This
Right.
first day number one, and then
Right.
that's when they go and start putting that pressure. They
Right.
they really gonna see if you really want to be one, and then that's where the retention rates start dropping because once one go in and they put that pressure on them, first thing
Mhm.
they gonna do is say, "Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, don't go do that because they gonna give it to you." And the
Mhm.
ones that do make it through, you know,
Mhm.
I mean, kudos to them. But I would imagine based on what I'm reading,
Right.
they can't even really special forces. I don't think they even allow them to even try that. I don't think they could have changed it by now, but based
Right.
on what I'm reading, I don't think, and like
My
the Air
my
Force, the Air
to my
Force
having
don't
women
care.
in.
Yeah,
To my having
and
women
yeah.
in. If
Yeah,
I ain't mistaken, I think it might be a one or two in special forces. I think
yeah,
it's one or two, maybe, join the Rangers or something like that. I think they relaxed. If some army guys out there, tap in or whatever, I think they relaxed the standards a little bit or something. They said, like the
yeah,
training or something. I think that's what some they were saying. Some of the older generals had problems with, like relaxing the standards, because they were saying, like, when you look into this thing, like, what kind of even though the boys was in and out, what kind of
mhm,
problem them boys ran into when they had to go in their compound and get Bin Laden up out of there.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like it's an in and out. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't saying that women can't do it, but you got to, you got to kind of, look at the play. You know what I'm saying?
Think about this though, dog. The ones that made it in, you do not want to run across them. Get them.
Right.
Boy, they'll whoop your
Oh, yeah.
hind up one side.
Right.
Boy, they
I
will
mean,
whoop your hind.
I'm all the way with them. You know what I'm saying? I'm all the way with them as far as like them being in and stuff like that. But like I said, I don't want to sound like discriminating or nothing like that. But
Yeah.
sometimes, man, I'll just put it this way, man. It's tough out there. It's tough out there on the other side now.
Yeah. So how do we address? Oh, my bad.
No, you go ahead. No, I was just saying.
How do we address the issue? Prevention and education. The military needs to implement comprehensive prevention and education programs to address sexual assault and harassment to promote gender equality and foster a culture of respect. Like, hey, if she come in like I said she came in, hey, respect it, David. You know what? We're gonna just see if what you're made of. You can make it through. If you make it, you make it. You don't, come back and try in the next 6 years, whatever things is, right? Accountability and justice. Survivors of MST and other forms of mistreatment deserve to have their complaints taken seriously and should be held, and perpetrators should be held accountable for their actions. If you rape somebody, I don't care if your whole family is in the military from top to bottom, you need to be dealt with.
Oh,
that's a fact. You got to be dealt with.
We're going to come pay you a visit.
Yeah, you got to be dealt with, man. You can't just do that and then just because your dad or uncle or somebody's a colonel, and they sweep it on the rug.
I'm gonna still come pay you a visit if it happened to mine.
Yeah, we got to holler at you, Doc. Support services.
Don't care about no carols.
Right. Military should provide adequate and accessible support for survivors of MST, including counseling, therapy, and legal assistance. I'm trying to get through it because we're almost out of here. Policy reform. The military needs to implement policy reforms to address gender disparities, promote inclusivity, and to ensure all service members have equal access to opportunities. Old dudes that's sitting up there at the top. Man, get some of these folks, some of these roles. Y'all 80, 90 years old. You still, dude, let them have something. I mean, come on.
Go home. Yeah.
Yeah, come on, y'all. Hey, look, we really appreciate y'all joining and tuning in to Man Talk 133 with Shaw and Durr. Why every time I say that, I go to Radio Boys?
Hey, dog, it's in you, baby boy. It's in you.
Anyway, hey, until next time, thank y'all for joining. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.